Welcome back to the Gentleman Gurchowski Show, Chicago's favorite comedy variety television show, which sponsors rising stars and local celebrities and people like that. We've got a great show today. You're going to love it, I guess. You got my orange shirt out. So every time I get my orange shirt out, you know it's a great show. We're going to have the authors for the book, the Dr. Feelgood Case Book. It's Rick Lertzman and William Burns are going to be on the program later on. And also Chicago's very own Mark Capp will be here talking about his Mark Capp Club and find out more about that. It's a bunch of musicians getting together and really making things happen. But, TVHams.com is the official website of the Gentleman Gurchowski Show. Everything you need to know about the show right there, TVHams.com. Simple, easy. There you go. And we're working on getting the TVHams.com redesigned. So hopefully in the next month or so, we're going to have a brand new website, more interaction with you. And if you always want to get in touch with us, send us an email, and that is at gentlemangurchowski@gmail.com. Gentlemangurchowski@gmail.com. Facebook is buying the GIF repository called Giphy, Giphy, Giphy. Wonder why it's called Giphy, but it's a GIF, but it's a Giphy. I don't know, it's kind of confusing to me. But Facebook and Instagram account for half of the platform's use of the cute little images. The deal is worth $400 million. Now, $400 million for a bunch of little, staticky things going like this. I'll sell you this for $10. I'd do it for a soda, actually. But stuff like that. That's what they're doing. I like the memes or memes, I guess they're called. Those are pretty funny. A lot of those things are going on these days. But just isn't that what a GIF is? GIF, whatever they call it. Jeff was my favorite peanut butter growing up, by the way. But those are some things. $400 million just for that. Now I wonder how you would classify that. How much would each one of these? How much would each one of these little things be, I guess? I don't know. Italy is getting ready for summer and the travel season. That's right. There is actually something going on in this world. Its borders will open June 3rd, and no mandatory quarantine will be required at any arrival. So I guess you could go in there and leave and get yourself some spaghetti and leave, I guess. Both France and Germany have travel restrictions in June, but France's interior minister is calling for a united European response. But right now, Italy's saying, come on in, let's have a good time. The pasta's always cooking. Guess what? Retail sales took a nosedive in April, with sales falling 16.9% nationally. The up pace is the 12.3% predicted and nearly doubles the 8.3% drop in March. So we got to get these doors open so we can get out there and do some shopping. I know I want to get some shoes, and I'm not buying shoes online because you never know how things are going to be fitting when you buy stuff online. That's the one thing I think about clothes. Everyone's talking about online is it, online is it, online is this. But guess what? You know what? I'm going to buy a shirt I can buy today. I can see how I fit today. I can see how my weight is today. I don't got to wait 4 weeks or something like that for a shirt to come in, only find out, oh, guess what? It's too tight. It's too big. It's too that. Then I got to send it back. Another 2 weeks go by. I can go to the store. So I think the mall will still be good, and especially shoes, clothes, everything like that. And especially a big guy like me, like I said, sometimes I'm fat, sometimes I'm skinny. I'm mainly more fat, but sometimes I'm a little bit more fat version of skinny. Huh? Something like that. But anyways, we got a great show today. Like I said, make sure you stay tuned. Rick Lertzman and Bill Burns, who have the book, the Dr. Feelgood Case Book, will be on the show. And we're going to talk to Mark Capp and Party Wesley if he's awake. We got to find Party. He missed the show last week. Don't know where he was. We're going to ask him about it. That's it. So this is the Gentleman Gurchowski Show. We'll be back after this. Don't go anywhere. Hey, welcome back to the Gentleman Gurchowski Show. Anything could happen these days. And you know what? Stranger things have happened in the past, believe it or not. I've got the author of the book, Dr. Feelgood Case Book, the two authors, Richard Lertzman and William Burns. Now, you'd think that we've heard of Dr. Frankenstein, and we've heard of some weird stuff that's going on the streets. But believe it or not, some of the wealthiest and most proficient celebrities of our time were once a patient of a guy named Dr. Feelgood, which is Dr. Max Jacobson. And let's talk about the book, Dr. Feelgood Case Book. Gentlemen, how are you?
Hi, Larry. How are you?
Hi, Larry. Thanks for inviting us.
Well, am I right when I say he's kind of like Frankenstein? Is that what we're talking about here from back in 50 years ago?
Well, that's the complex that he had. I mean, he fully believed, and this call it a delusion, call it whatever you want to call it. He fully believed, and you see this in his writings, in magazine writings, in interviews that he gave, in testimony before the United States House of Representatives. He fully believed that he had the ability, he had the knowledge and the expertise to cure someone of any disease based on his treatment of their blood. That's what he believed.
Okay. And well, he definitely made people feel good for a while. I don't know what long term, the long term results were of that. But tell us about, who was Max Jacobson? How did he start off? He was initially from Germany, right?
He was a German doctor. He escaped the Holocaust. He was well known in Germany. He had trained a doctor named Theo Morell, who became Adolf Hitler's doctor. Came to America, became a very successful doctor on Lexington Avenue in New York, and started treating all the stars back in the 30s and 40s. He treated a lot of Broadway stars, and then he started treating a lot of writers like Tennessee Williams and Truman Capote. And eventually he got to everybody. He got to senators and writers like Rod Serling, and he became very profound in New York.
Now, Dr. Max Jacobson was codenamed Dr. Feelgood by the Secret Service, injected President Kennedy and Jackie O with drug cocktails of meth, steroids, monkey gonads, eels, and sheep sperm. He was injecting JFK during the Cuban Missile Crisis. What exactly did JFK need with all that concoction, and how did it really make him feel? And did it help with him governing the country?
Well, it's funny. That was just the reverse. I mean, it helped him win the presidency in 1960, that's for sure. JFK in 1960 was suffering from a fatal disease called Addison's disease. It was a disease of the endocrine system. And he likely would not have survived his second term in office just due to that disease. There was no cure for it in 1960. And it made him weak. It made his muscles weak. He was very prone to all kinds of sprains and things like that. But in addition to his Addison's disease, he had Crohn's disease, irritable bowel syndrome. He had he was taking all kinds of barbiturates just to relax his muscles. He was taking phenobarbital. He was taking things like that. He was in such pain from his back. Remember, he'd injured his back in World War II on PT 109, rescuing that crew. His back was so badly damaged that JFK needed 3 or 4 shots of Procaine, which is like Novocaine. The dentist gives you, this is much stronger, a day from his doctor, Janet Travell. So this guy was a really sick guy. In
Okay.
fall of 1960, JFK behind in the polls. Now, Nixon and JFK were friends and they were both senators. So he's behind in the polls, he's losing to Nixon, and they're going into their first debate. Kennedy lost his voice. How can you have a presidential debate if you're a horse? I mean, you sound old. So what did he do? His friend, his former roommate from college, Chuck Spaulding, takes him to this doctor, Dr. Feelgood, that Spaulding used, and Max Jacobson mixed up, as Rick said, sheep gonads and eel cells and bull sperm and all kinds of things, because he believed that if you made the blood strong, that would make the person strong. So Kennedy walks in, Max Jacobson looks at him, doesn't even bother to diagnose the guy, draws a big syringe, gives him a shot right in the vocal cords, right in the vocal cords. Kennedy's voice comes back. Kennedy's got bounce in his step. Kennedy says, "This is the best pick-me-up I ever had." Bounces out of the office. From that moment, Max Jacobson was Kennedy's ad hoc doctor. And the results for JFK were almost fatal. And the results for the United States, it almost got into a nuclear war twice.
Wow, unbelievable. We're sitting here with Rick Lertzman and Bill Burns, and I got the new book, the Dr. Feelgood Casebook. We'll be back with more of them after this. Don't go away. Hey, welcome back to the Gentleman Gruchowski Show. We're sitting here with the authors of the book, the Dr. Feelgood Case Book, with Rick Lertzman and Bill Burns. How are you, gentlemen?
Hi, Larry.
Thank you.
Now, Hollywood was a big fan of Dr. Feelgood too. Max. Max was a big influencer in Hollywood too. Can you tell us about some of that?
Well, there were so many stars. I mean, literally, we have a list in our book of over 500 stars, and that includes Elizabeth Taylor, who was with her husband Eddie Fisher, and Marilyn Monroe was one of his major clients. And Marilyn Monroe was so drugged up one time when she sang "Happy Birthday, Mr. President" to JFK at his birthday party at Madison Square Garden. She had just gotten 40 milligrams of methamphetamine in her neck, and she came out slurring her words and singing "Happy Birthday, Mr. President." On the day of Marilyn's death, Max Jacobson's son, who was also a doctor, Tommy Jacobson, delivered milligrams of methamphetamine to Marilyn Monroe, which she self-injected the night that she died.
Ooh.
And so there was quite a bit of stars, and a lot of people who are still alive who were patients of Max Jacobson, from Anthony Quinn to Cecil B. DeMille and Billy Wilder, and directors and producers, and somebody in Hollywood depended on Max Jacobson's methamphetamine shots.
And in the book, you also mentioned that his office was from like 10 o'clock at night till 4 in the morning was packed, right?
Oh my God, people never left his office. When we were speaking to people, well, when we spoke to Eddie Fisher, to Alice Ghostley, to from Bewitched, her husband Felice Orlandi, when we spoke to these people, one of the things that they were fascinated by, especially Dar Shapiro, who was the assistant to Alan J. Lerner, writing Camelot and On a Clear Day and shows like that, one of the things they all said was that Max almost never left his office. And Eddie Fisher told us this incredible story of going to his office. Well, actually, it was Alan J. Lerner and Dar Shapiro who told this story. They went to Max's office very late. They were working on a song for On a Clear Day You Could Sing Forever. They were hitting a wall. You know, you're trying to write, you're blocked,
Right.
You can't get the right word, right? So they say, we need a shot. So they jump in, this is in New York, so they jump into a cab, they run across town, they're on the west side, they run through the park to the east side to Max's office. It's like 2 in the morning. Here's Max. He's over his lab table, and then as he's mixing syringes, he falls asleep. Then one of his patients tap him and say, Max, you got to wake up. He wakes up, finishes mixing his syringes, gives a shot, falls back to sleep again. He never slept. You may ask, how was he able to do that? How could a human being that age, Max was no spring chicken at this point, how could a human being at that age stay up that long? Speed. He was getting high on his own supply.
Oh,
He
goodness.
was drugging himself. That's what was happening. So of course the guy only slept 3-4 hours a day. He didn't have to. He was on speed. And in the end, that's what killed him.
Right. And at least he believed in this product. That's a good thing, right? always want to trust someone that believes in what they're selling. It also says one of his aides insisted that he wasn't in it for the money. He was in it for the power over people. The people have dependent on him, right?
He did. He was partners with Prince Stash Radswell, who was John Kennedy's brother-in-law, and they were partners. And Stash Radswell became very, very wealthy. They had a lab in Point Lookout, New York, which is near the Hamptons, and they would supply it. They were the French connection. The real French connection was Stash Radswell, and he was running it out of his big castle next to Buckingham Palace. And they ran a worldwide operation. Max never got rich. People like Stash Radswell became fabulously wealthy.
And they went to organized crime too, because when Alice Ghostley asked her husband, Felice Orlandi, what's going on with this guy? You guys are working till 3, 4, 5 in the morning. You're not getting it. What's going on? Stop it already, because you're. And Felice Orlandi said to his wife, look, I can't tell you who, but Max is into some very bad guys, and some very bad guys are running this operation. And so as a result, Max was really working for an organized crime cartel run by
Wow.
Stash Radswell.
Wow, the book is a Dr. Feelgood case book. Rick Lerchman and William Burns are the authors. We'll be back with one more segment with you guys after this, so don't go away. Hey, welcome back to the Gentleman Gruchowski Show. I've got two authors of the book, the Dr. Feelgood case book, Rick Lerchman and William Burns. You know, this Max Jacobson was just one really wicked fella, and I guess the bottom line is he was giving something to someone, and they were willing to, I mean, he was giving them a product, regardless if the product was healthy or not. Some of the well-off people in our society of the day. Winston Churchill was another person that, he was an alcoholic. What was he doing with Max here? I mean, how did Winston Churchill get involved in all this?
Well, Max was asked by Winston Churchill's doctor to treat him, and which he did. Max was also asked by Pope Pius's doctor, who was being treated by Dr. Paul Nehans, to inject the Pope with methamphetamine. Max was like Forrest Gump. Wherever you saw icons, there was a picture of Max Jacobson behind her shoulder. But so Max was that, and Max also was a serial killer. He killed Mark Shaw, the White House photographer, and Michael Baden, who you see on Fox, and he has the show HBO Autopsy. Michael Baden told us. Michael Baden was the New York City chief medical examiner, which we never knew. And Michael Baden examined Max Jacobson and decided that he had murdered Mark Shaw. And Michael himself did the autopsy for it. And he said he believed he was a serial killer.
Wow, yeah, unbelievable.
Baden was on to this guy all the way back in the 1970s. And one of the things that Baden told us is that even though he believed that Max Jacobson murdered Mark Shaw and was a killer, there's nothing he could do. I mean, he could say this was a homicide, but he couldn't charge him with murder. That could only come from the DA. But because Max was so well connected, the Attorney General of New York State, Louis Lefkowitz, stepped in on Max's behalf and said, leave this guy alone. So Max, very well connected through the Democrats.
That's definitely, it's good to have people with power as your friends, right? And especially if you're able to help them out, right, with certain things, right?
Absolutely. Max was locked in tight into the whole Kennedy clan, into the Rat Pack, into New York State politics as well. I mean, look, he was also treating Nelson Rockefeller, Vice President Rockefeller.
Wow. And then was him and Richard Nixon, right? Did he have anything to do with Nixon later on in life? Did Nixon get treated by him?
No. Go ahead, Rick.
He did get treated by Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon asked to be treated, but he would not treat him, first because he was an alcoholic, and second because he really hated Richard Nixon. So because he did that, Richard Nixon turned the DEA on Max Jacobson. And the reason Max Jacobson's downfall came was really because of Richard Nixon.
Yeah, see, when Richard Nixon was turned down, Nixon sent Spiro Agnew to New York because Nixon didn't want to go himself. So Spiro Agnew's mission in New York was to solicit Max Jacobson to treat the president, who was really suffering at this point. It was like 1972. And Jacobson said flat out, as Rick said, I'm not going to treat Nixon. He's an alcoholic. He actually called him an alcoholic and said, I'm not going to treat him. Well, Nixon was so mad that he began the war on drugs and the BNDD, the Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs, that became the DEA. And he took off after Max Jacobson. The New York Times did this unbelievable expose on Max Jacobson. Geraldo Rivera went after him. Don Imus went after him. And by 1973, 1974, Jacobson, who had already lost his license to practice medicine in New York State, was a pariah. And although he begged and appealed for a few years after that to have his license reinstated, he was turned down. for me, the big revelation was this. After the assassination of Kennedy, Eddie Fisher is the singer, Eddie Fisher, very famous. I'm Yours, Oh Mein Papa, all those big songs of the 50s. Eddie Fisher is running around looking for a new supply. He'd broken with Max Jacobson. He needed his drugs. He's looking for a new supply. And he focuses on really shady characters in Hollywood. One of them introduces Eddie to Curtis LeMay. Curtis LeMay would be Richard Nixon's vice presidential candidate in 1968. We all know Curtis LeMay, right?
Okay.
He's at LeMay's house with his son, Todd. This is Eddie Fisher. And he says to LeMay, well, I got to run. I'm going to go meet Bobby Kennedy. Here's what Curtis LeMay says. Bobby Kennedy? Why are you going to meet Bobby Kennedy? He's going to be assassinated. He's going to be killed. So before Sirhan meets up with Bobby Kennedy in the lobby of that hotel in Los Angeles, here's Curtis LeMay saying he's going to be killed. Does this rewrite the history of the 1968 presidential election?
It sounds like it has something to do with it. Of course, the book is the Dr. Feelgood case book. Can you guys tell us how we can purchase the book?
You can purchase the book on Amazon. It's going to be on all the sites, but Amazon will have the Kindle and the book. It starts on Monday. The Kindle's available now. The book will be available on Monday. And all you do is go to Amazon.com and look up the Dr. Feelgood case book. Or you can go to our website, which is The Life and Times of Hollywood, or shadowlawnpress.com.
Yep. Get it 3 ways.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
So the book is available for download right now. Go to Amazon, go right now, download the book. You'll be one of the first people to read it. Or on Monday, the print edition is going to be up if you want a hard copy.
Sounds good to me. All right, guy. Richard Lertzman and Bill Burns, thank you guys for stopping by. Again, the book, the Dr. Feelgood case book. Thanks for stopping by. We'll be back more after this. Don't go away. Hey, welcome back to the Gentleman Grachowski Show. TVHams.com is the official website of the Gentleman Grachowski Show. Anything about the show, you can find out through TVHams.com. One guy that's familiar with the show, let's check in with our old friend, Mark Capp. How are you, buddy?
Hey, Larry. How are you tonight, Larry?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Just chilling, making it happen.
Making it happen.
Just enjoying myself, I guess, as much as I can enjoy myself in my house. What about you, my friend? Now, I know you've been doing a lot of stuff, and you've been keeping busy, even though with this little bit of a quarantine thing going on here. You've been keeping busy with the Mark Capp Club. Can you tell people about the come out and play, the Musicians Club, whatever you call it, Mark Capp?
Hey, Larry, I got the key to success right now, Larry. It's right here. You see it? It's called a drum key. That's what's the key to success right now. So I'm going to pass on the key to you, and you will have success, so I know you will. Anyway, Larry, we're in Tinley Park. It's a Musicians Come and Play Club, or Mark Capp, which is I founded, and with my partner, my buddy Matt V is a drummer. I've been drumming 35 years, but we are in Tinley Park. It's called the Musicians Come and Play Club on Facebook. I have 4 pages on Facebook, and was many times a guest on your show and many other shows. And please join us. People from Chicago, we're about 40 minutes southwest of the city. And we're looking for all types of musicians. So check out the pages. The best way is just go on Facebook, the Musicians Come and Play Club, and join on in, and we'll get moving from there. Yeah, Larry, if it's a good time, I got something to announce. I do have a new project going. As usually I'm in the studio. I prefer it that way now. But I do have a new project and a new band. It's called Now and Then.
Now and then.
Now and then.
Now and then. Tell me about that. That sounds exciting.
Yeah, now and then. Matter of fact, folks, you're not even going to find a page yet or a website or anything because, as I mentioned, they had a different show that since the pandemic virus has put us in a spot, we haven't even really got together to rehearse. So I had to discuss with the guys the other day. Should we even mention it? Should we even talk about it? And everybody was yes, no, maybe so, and decided to put it out there. Like I say, you cannot find any pages on it yet. We've been ready to go probably like 2 months ago as far as actually starting the group. But the band is called Now and Then. We're going to do tunes and original music and tunes from the 70s, 80s, and I won't relinquish what type of style right yet. That's a trick of the trade. But I will announce the band. The band vocals, we have Tim Dunn. These are all local guys. Tim, I believe, is from Mokina, which is by Joliet, and all these guys are established players and been in a lot of different bands. I have Rick Mason, guitar player, a longtime friend. He's was awarded for the best guitarist at Guitar Center, and also I was recognized as the best drummer at Guitar Center years ago. Anyway,
I was recognized as one of the best shoppers at Walmart once. For me, I like that.
You are recognized as the best host, especially on the Southwest Side and all around Chicagoland.
I'm the best host doing this show right now.
Larry has the best show. You guys out there in public, Facebook land, and Larry Kruchowski show everyone else, please give Larry a thumbs up. And please help him sponsor him. He's a great guy. Larry does the best for everybody. And make sure when he invites you on his shows that you share his stuff.